Grief, pain, loss, and heartache are ubiquitous. They are an inevitable part of the human condition. And I think oftentimes the paradigm for grief is one that's associated with the passing of a loved one or the death of a loved one. And yet we experience grief and loss frequently throughout our life. We may have the loss of a relationship. We may have the loss of a reality that we were hoping would materialize, but that is no longer a possibility. And we really struggle to process grief because I think as a culture, we want to compartmentalize our emotions, particularly the negative emotions such as grief and loss. We like to think that there's a set trajectory that we're going to follow, and then we're going to emerge out the other side feeling so much wiser and so much stronger as a consequence. And unfortunately, our heart doesn't work like that. I mean, our heart doesn't run to the world's timeline, and we have to be compassionate and kind and gentle with our sadness and allow it to run its course. Because again, when we have these expectations for ourselves, or indeed expectations for other people's grief, it's basically given the message that how you are feeling is wrong. And I think so much of this comes from this whole kind of positive thinking movement where anything bar happiness is an aberration, and that happiness is associated with health. Now, happiness is an emotion just like any other, and it's transient. Likewise, grief is also. And I suppose it's recognizing that you have to meet yourself and meet others wherever you are and wherever they are. And oftentimes you'll hear people say things like, always for the best, or, things will be so much better in a while, or you'll be so much stronger as a result, or such and such a one wouldn't like to see you feeling sad and feeling down. And again, it's so invalidating. It's taking away a person's true experience and their capacity to deal with their emotions. And I know the intentions are good, but we do tend to want to give advice. We want to fix people. We want to nearly jump into the Me Too mentality. We'll often compare it to something that has happened in our life. We will try to avoid talking about it. We'll be dismissive and tell them that it's not as bad as they think, or it'll get easier with time. That's another great one. Instead of just sitting with somebody and asking them what they need from you in that moment. And again, that's a question that we also need to ask ourselves. What do I need in this moment? I don't need to be told that everything happens for a reason. I don't need to be told that I'm going to come out of this process so much wiser and so much more enlightened. I just need to be in my pain. I need to sit in it, and I need to work through it. And I suppose there's a difference between learning to exist with your pain and being completely consumed by it. Ultimately, pain and heartache and loss are indicative of having loved and cared greatly about someone or something. And I mean, this is a beautiful aspect of our life. It's not something that we want to get rid of. It's something that we just want to carry with us and always hold close to our heart. And it's recognizing that when we see pain as something that needs to be corrected, something that we need to get rid of, then we're telling ourselves that we also want to be rid of those memories, that our love was somehow invalid. And it's understanding that life happens. I mean, there is loss, there is hardship, there is adversity, and that sometimes the only thing we can do is not make things worse. We can just take care of ourselves in our pain, in our dark place. We can ensure that we get sufficient sleep, that we go for a walk, that we talk to people that are able to give us what it is that we need in our dark place, that are able to take care of our experience as opposed to try to fix it or dismiss it or compare it to something that happened to them a few years ago, but can really just give us whatever it is that we need. And we can learn to give ourselves what we need. I mean, again, we need to be able to tap into how we deal with our own emotional experience and how we process things, and be very kind and compassionate and understanding and forgiving with ourselves in the process. And again, it's about trying to meet everything with love, because again, pain exists for a reason. It is part and parcel of being human. It is part of having loved greatly. And when we see it like that, as opposed to seeing it as something that needs to be wiped out completely, then we're more likely to be able to work through the process of grief in our own time, you know, at our own, I suppose, pace, as opposed to moving through it the way that other people expect us to, or indeed that we expect ourselves to. So it's about giving yourself grace, being very kind to yourself, likewise with others, giving them the grace and the kindness that they may need. I hope everyone is having a good day. If you would like to work with me on any loss or grief that you're experiencing, get in touch with me on the website. It is fundamentals.ie.